All right, welcome everybody to the Great American Little Town podcast. I'm your host, Sean Farmer. I am here with our wonderful co-host, the only co-host.
That's me.
Mr. Dan Denier.
The only real co-host.
As you can see, we do not have a guest today.
Not
because
today.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We didn't really think we needed to clutter up the show with extra bodies, so we just we're gonna be just the boys today.
Yep, you're gonna listen to Sean and I for the next hour and a half. If you
get a coffee. Might be dozing off. Shout out to Ruben. We're gonna talk about Night to Shine a little bit tonight. Ruben, gonna throw some photos up. Night to Shine was awesome. So, but before we get to the cool stuff, I want to first thank our sponsors, all our gracious sponsors, for making this possible and for making me tie up my Wednesday nights every night. I'm joking. So I want to remind everybody.
I do have to cancel plans because I have to come to the podcast on Wednesdays.
Oh, God forbid.
Jen, it's one of Jen's regular nights off, and she's not always very happy.
Oh, well, we can get on our coast.
I know. I may have to take a day off here and there. You're working me too hard.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody, before we get on to fun stuff, the not so fun stuff, I want to remind everybody that the Great American Little Town podcast is a independent podcast for entertainment only. It is not associated with the city of Galt. So the statements and topics that we discuss on here, our views and comments that are made, are not a reflection of the city. We are not a spokesperson or an official news source for the city, and the positions that both Dan and I hold in the city are not to be construed with this show. So I hope that's clear. We are just strictly here for entertainment.
We speak only for ourselves.
And we are the most legitimate news source in town, I would have to say.
Pretty much,
I would say. It's like getting it from the horse's mouth without the horse. All right, well, I want to say hi to some people that are tuning in. Thank you, some friends far off. Probably the Denier family. So it's freaking cold right now, dude. How cold I just want to know,
they got a storm going on back there too.
Really? So how cold is it in North Dakota?
I don't know how cold it is, but I know that they've gotten like up around where my sister lives and my aunt and stuff. There's I think they've got about 5, 6, 7 inches of snow from this current storm that they're in right now.
Dude, it's frigid outside,
that's not much, because when you talk about, up in Tahoe and places, they've got 76 inches of snow in places like that.
Yeah.
I was watching the news before we come in, and there's one of the passes, and they had one of the tractors out there with blowing the snow and stuff. And
like the passes here in California?
Yeah, like Highway 88.
Yeah.
And the snow was at least 10 feet tall where they were trying to work through.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But
dude, it's cold though, man. I mean, cold. It's just in the morning. This morning I went out and it was just all wet. And you think, okay, when it's wet, typically it's like not as cold. And it was just frigid, man. I was just ice on my truck.
Yeah, my Joseph leaves the house about 4:30, 5 o'clock to go to work in the mornings. And he said this morning that his truck or his car was iced over.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but it's been cold all day. Like 11 o'clock, it was only a high of 45 still.
Yeah. And it says 45 and it says feels like 30 something.
On the way. So I was coming into the show tonight just a little bit ago, and I'm coming down Lincoln Way. It's 48 degrees according to the car. And there's a guy running, like exercising, running down Lincoln Way without a shirt on.
Hey, it probably feels good though,
and
man.
I'm thinking it's 48 degrees. That's crazy.
But if you're like sweating and just hot, and that probably feels really good though.
Yeah, that's a good way to get pneumonia.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, you got to be careful. Then won't be getting very fit if you're going to get sick. So anyways, so what's going on? Are you
going to thank them now, or are you going to thank them later? I know you said you thanked them, but
yeah, well, we're gonna thank some of our we're gonna do something
throughout
different.
The show.
We're gonna start thanking some of our sponsors throughout the show instead of like all at once. So, as a matter of fact, I think I'll kick that off right now. How about a big shout out to the Velvet Grill and Creamery? If you're looking for something to eat, if you're freezing outside in the weather and you want to go in somewhere warm, maybe get some soup. They got good soup over there. They usually do like a special with soup or whatever. Or if you want to get a good breakfast or lunch or dinner, they serve all three. Velvet Grill on 4th Street. It's your American type diner. They have all your regular foods, and they got friendly waitresses. And not to mention, the owner is very generous to the community, very generous sponsoring our show.
And they had like 4 cop cars there this morning.
I think they were a Galt place.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, people are like, oh, they must be getting donuts.
Yeah, it's all the jokes. That's all the jokes going on.
Yeah. It's a slow news day when you see posts on social media like that. Jeez. But anyways, thank you to Velvet Girl and Creamy for sponsoring our show. We appreciate you. So what's going on outside of Galt? What's any big news?
The storm. It's cold. We got more water than we've had.
Well, there was like an avalanche or something.
Terrible avalanche.
What was that?
Deadliest avalanche in California history is what they said today.
Really?
Yep. Killed 8 people.
I thought that one that was on Kirkwood or whatever years back maybe
it's the deadliest one in 40 years or something like that.
Yeah, because there was that one. There was that one in like the 70s or the 8, whatever.
It's been something though.
Well, hey, you're up in the mountains and it's crazy. I mean,
and of course, you got the Olympics. You've been watching the Olympics.
I have watched a little bit of the Olympics. I watched a little bit of it on Super Bowl weekend, but not really a whole lot.
I don't normally like to watch the Olympics. I think the Olympics should be on
pay-per-view
that's not
very
or cable
American
or something like that.
You don't watch the Olympics?
No, I think you ruin a whole month worth of television viewing is ruined by the Olympics.
My God.
I know.
You have to excuse my friend here. That's just not.
I'm not a big fan of the Olympics. Never have been.
Really?
Yep.
Dude, people train like super hard for a once in a lifetime shot every 4 years.
That's great.
That doesn't impress you?
Not really.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think Olympics are cool. I haven't been watching. I admit I haven't been watching a whole lot. But honestly, everything I watch, I think I can get into one of the streaming channels. But I hate the fact that if everything is like you have to be a subscriber to this channel or this channel, this channel. It isn't like the old days where you just flip TV on and you just watch stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I know, and that's why
like a monopoly.
They should have things like that on those pay-per-view channels and leave the regular stuff to regular TV.
I agree. What else is going on? Hey, this is kind of a dark thing, but I just want to mention it real quick. So you remember how we had Connor Lopez's mom on a while back talking about her son, being killed, and then how they found the driver negligent, but they weren't really nothing was really happening. There wasn't really any recourse in the justice system. So I came across this story yesterday about this lady. She's like 80 years old. And apparently she was found, she hit some people. She was found negligent. She was speeding like way over the speed limit and some other stuff. So she went to court. She was found negligent, reckless, whatever like that, felony, all this stuff like that. And they're saying that the judge is actually talking about the fact that she pleaded no contest and then she showed remorse. She's probably not going to do any jail time. And they're saying, well, she's, her age and this and that. So she killed an entire family. This family with 2 young kids, like one of them was like a toddler and another kid, they were at the bus stop getting ready to go to the zoo on their anniversary. And she came through the bus stop and she killed all of them. Can you imagine losing you have a family, their whole family, and they're just like, well, she is remorseful. I mean, she's really sorry. Right. And, she's 80. So it's like, can't really put her in jail. I mean,
well, that not a little bit of different topic, but that the governor has a thing that if you're 50 years old and you're in prison,
oh God, I can't wait.
You can be declared special, like you can get a release or you can apply for a release under the elderly program or something, just because you're 50 years old.
50. Mm-hmm. That's not elderly. I'm over that.
I know.
We're both over that. No, but really, that's ridiculous. 50. That's a ridiculous age. I mean, how many serial killers have been over the age of 50? Like the one guy that dressed up as a clown, he was over 50, I think. William Gacy or whatever his name. Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy.
There you go. Not William. Yeah. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. That is totally. I can't
ridiculous.
I can't even believe that's stupid. But this lady, she kills a whole family of 4. The family is gone, and her family, they're basically just crying out for justice, and they're just going to be like, well, I just can't.
The laws in California favor the criminals. They do not favor the innocent people anymore.
It is too bad. So what else has been going on? So we've had a bunch of actors die recently, like several actors. It's like I feel like they say things always happen in threes. But Robert Duvall, I'm sure everybody's heard.
Vanderbeek.
Yeah, James Vanderbeek, Robert Duvall,
and then he was younger than us. Vanderbeek was younger.
Yeah,
Duvall was 95.
Yeah,
dude, you know what? That was somebody that had a long life.
What a life well lived, though, man.
Oh yeah,
honestly. And that guy, I think I posted this on my Facebook page. There's always there's a handful of actors that are usually not the star. Some shows they might have been a star, but usually they're not the leading role. They're like a co-star, right? But they make the film phenomenal because of people like Morgan Freeman, for example, right? Morgan Freeman is usually not the lead role, but he's always like he always makes the movies he's in better. Robert Duvall was one of those guys, like, Days of Thunder, the Western movie Open Range, like all the movies, the Godfather movies.
He was Gus in what was the Western?
Open Range.
No. Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, Lonesome Dove. Yeah, The Natural. By the way, The Natural, one of my favorite all-time movies, not just sports movie, but one of my favorite all-time movies is The Natural. That is a phenomenal movie. He plays a great part.
There was a movie he was in.
He plays Gus in that too.
Oh,
his name is Gus Sands.
There was a movie somebody posted that he was in.
Oh no, he doesn't play Gus Sands. Gus Sands is the bookie. He plays I'll think of it in a minute. Go ahead.
But there was a movie that he was in that he was uncredited, but it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or one of those types of movies, right? It was a horror movie, and he was dressed up like as a priest on a swing, and that's what you see him. You see him on the swing, right? In this one scene, and that's like the only scene he's in the whole movie. He did it as a favor for the director, but he got uncredited in it. But like it was like kind of a creepy scene a little bit, from the movie.
I mean, he's just a great actor. I mean, but what's crazy is, and we talked about this.
We got a great hairstyle. That's what I always.
Yeah, you copied your hairstyle from him.
Yeah,
we talked about this on a previous episode where we were saying that Max Mercy. There you go. Thank you for that. I was just going to ask. Yeah, Max Mercy, the reporter. That was a great movie. I can't go on. I can't say enough about the movie. Anyways, we were talking about how, for me, I don't know if it's for everybody, but we always seem to freeze like an actor in a certain point in time, like in a movie. Like when you say Robert Duvall, I probably think about him I think about him in The Natural, which was in 1984. I would also probably think of him in Open Range. So he is immortalized in that role. When I picture him in my mind, I picture him at whatever age he was in that movie, right? So he is frozen in time at that age for someone like me. I don't think of him being 80 or 90, whatever. And I think a lot of actors are like that. When someone says, Tom Cruise, or when someone says Clint Eastwood, what movie? What do you think of? What's instantly goes to your mind? Clint Eastwood.
Dirty Harry.
Okay. And how old is he in the Dirty Harry movies? Like 30 something?
30, 40s. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So see, he is immortal. Clint Eastwood is immortalized in your memory in his 30s. And the guy's like, what? He's in his 90s.
I think for Duvall, a lot of the movies that he was in were period movies. So they were set in an older time. So even like The Natural was set in an older past time, right?
Yeah, in the 30s.
The Godfather, the Westerns, from Lonesome Dove and Open Range. Those are all set in a different time. So for him, it's a little bit different because you're setting them. But like if he was an actor in a modern TV show or a modern movie, it'd be a little bit different.
Right.
But even at that, but I think that movies and actors have an impact on us the way music does. Like you can hear a song and go, man, this takes me back to
a certain memory.
Yeah, 8th grade school dances or something.
I know we're getting off topic on that, but isn't that weird too? That I can hear not every song,
right?
But there's certain songs that when that song plays, it immediately takes me to an exact memory in my life. And every time that exact memory. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, but I think movies and TV shows can be that way as well, because maybe you remember, maybe you go see a movie comes back on and you go, man, that was the first movie I went to with so-and-so or whatever, And
no, you're right. It does.
Those things all have an impact on your memory.
And I think that's why people tend to watch. I mean, all of us are probably guilty of like scrolling TVs and we see a movie that we've probably seen like 100 times, but yet no matter where the movie is, you start watching it, right?
Right.
I think it's because it takes you back to a certain nostalgia, like a time period for you. It's like traveling back. And coolest part of the Max Furley when he was involved in the Hobbs strikeout, the Whammer. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a great movie. If you have not seen The Natural, 1984, Robert Redford. So who was also in the movie? We mentioned this before. Bill Richardson from Galt.
Right, yeah.
So in case you didn't know this, Bill Richardson, Gus Sands, he's the bookie in the movie. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. That's Bill Richardson. He graduated from Galt High School, class of 1940. So for the person living in Galt, California, if you didn't know that, Bill Richardson, yeah.
Yeah, that's his real name. What was his Hollywood name?
Darren McGavin.
Yeah.
So Darren McGavin was from Galt, but that's what makes the movie so even cooler is because there was a Galt guy in
I
it.
have his autograph.
Yeah, you do. You have a
yearbook.
So, anyway, so that's what's going on in the world. So, what's going on locally? Let's talk about some. Let's talk about Night to Shine. So, if you guys know what Night to Shine is, so I went to Night to Shine. It was the second year I went. It is a phenomenal event. So, it's put on by the Tim Tebow Foundation, so the ex Broncos player, and it's intended to create like a prompt for. And we're going to throw some pictures. So this is me going in the limo. This is the limo with my. I was the.
You participated a couple of years now.
2 years. So this is Natalie. So Natalie is a friend of, as a daughter of some friends of mine. She's special needs, and so it's all for honored guests, and all the honored guests are special needs people, and then people go as buddies or chaperone, right? So I went with her, and they pick you up in a limo. There was like 10 people in this limo we were in. They drive you in the limo over to Galt High School. That's where they have it the last 2 years. And there's a red carpet stretched out. They pull up in the limo and it's like they open the door for you. It's this big to-do. And then there's people cheering. They call your name. They're like, and our next guest is so-and-so with their buddy, such and such. And people are cheering and like music's playing. And it's just an awesome experience. And then so they had the gym, the small gym and the old gym. See, there's the limos pulling up right there.
The old gym and the new gym.
So they had like, I don't know how many limos, tons of limos. They filled the entire market grounds.
Well, so what you do though is you and the kids or people, they all go to the market. You meet at the market grounds, get in the limos from there, and then the limo ride. They give you a limo. So the limos are kind of doing this big circle through town
and I can tell you, so Natalie,
big limo. That is a big limo.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So Natalie, all she talked about leading up to Night to Shine this year was, I hope we get a limo this year, because last year we got like a party bus. They have different vehicles. I hope we get a limo. So when we got in the limo, I texted her parents, friends of mine, and I said, hey, we got a limo this year. And I sent that picture of Natalie and I, and they were like, thank God you got a limo. That's all she was talking about.
Does this cost the individuals to participate in this?
No,
or
I don't think so.
It's all.
Yeah. So here's inside the gym. That's just one side of the gym.
I didn't even picture online. I saw this picture online and I was blown away by the number of people.
This was early in the night. This is before the dance really got going because the lights were dim, whatever. You literally couldn't even walk.
I see Ruben.
I see Ruben too in the red hat. You could not even walk through this area when it was in full swing. And these people were like, partying and like, these people know how to have a party.
Right.
It is awesome. And they have karaoke in the other gym. They have a karaoke center where people can sing. This is a photo. They have a thing where you can put on goofy hats and stuff, and then you can get.
That was in the old gym there.
Yeah, then the old gym, you can get in this photo booth, and then they print out photos. This was actually outside of the photo booth. They wanted to pose for a photo, but this just shows you. So these people are all having just a great time.
And you know what? Just this photo, what this photo tells me, is what a great event, because look at the smiles.
Oh yeah,
every one of those individuals.
Oh, I wish I would have videotaped more than I did, but there was some people dancing that I was like, I'm not going to get on that dance floor because I would have just been embarrassed. So this is a little Hawaiian thing. Natalie didn't want to cross her arms, so people was like, cross your arms, and she's like, no, I don't want to. So anyways, but this was a photograph we took, and there's Ruben. Shout out to Ruben, there he is. Yeah, I told him I promised him I'd put a picture on the show with him. So there you are, Ruben. Thanks for tuning into our show every week, buddy. You appreciate it. So what a cool event though, man. I can't say enough. So we actually honored Horizon Church last night at the city council meeting. We gave them a resolution thanking them for their
I saw that.
For the for hosting the show. So this takes place all across the country in all different schools simultaneously at the same time.
Day. Yeah.
And they're always looking for volunteers. So anybody who's watching the show or watches the show after tonight, if you are interested in being part of Night to Shine, they're always looking for not just buddies to escort the special guests, but they're always looking for participants to help parking and to cater, bring out food to the table.
Yeah,
they're looking for tons of volunteers, and it's all volunteer based. So please, if you are on the fence about it, just get off the fence, sign up for it. Contact Horizon Church and find out how you can get it.
Well, and you don't have to have a tuxedo. You don't have to.
No, I didn't have a tuxedo.
I saw a few people in some of those photos that they were dressed up nice, but it wasn't like top of
there was people in cheesy like baby blue, like with the shoes that light up.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wish I'd have wore. I wish because Natalie and I were wearing Vans. We were just wearing like some cool Vans, like we were trying to be like a 80s kind of party look. But there's people wearing the light up shoes, that light up.
And again, there's a regional, like Galt hosts the region, so we get a lot of the special guests coming out of Lodi, and I imagine Elk Grove.
Actually, a little further than that, even.
Yeah,
there was some pretty far off, actually,
right?
From like Salinas. There was some.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I think they have a school down that way. I'm not sure why they came up that far, but
but it's not just kids; it's young
200.
adults.
There was 275 special guests.
Wow.
275 special, and they do a crowning, like everybody gets a crown or a tiara, depending on who it is, at the end of the, at the certain point of the night, and it's very well orchestrated. I can't say enough about how well it's planned, and I can't imagine how many people it takes to put on this event, because it's a huge thing. So, anyways, but I don't know if there's a permanent date, but I'll look. Yeah, if you ever found the date for next year, please post it in the future, Ruben, because we'd love to know. So, anyways, that's Night to Shine. Awesome event. Anything else? Let's go on to some sports scores now. There's been a lot going on in town for sports. We've had basketball going on. We've had I'm not sure what you have up on the screen here right now. There we go. All right, it is playoff time, people. Playoff for basketball and for soccer. So the girls basketball for Liberty Ranch played Sacramento, and they won 78-49, and the boys basketball for Liberty Ranch played Calaveras. They actually played tonight at 7:00 tonight. So I saw that online. So if you want to go out and support, the game's probably already going on.
Yeah. And then both of the boys soccer teams, I think, won last night. And they played out in the rain.
Yeah. So we're going to throw up these soccer scores. Yeah. Can you imagine playing in this frigid rain?
I don't know. Did you see that there was a soccer game like up in the foothills somewhere
where it was snowing?
And it was snowing?
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
So the Galt High girls soccer team played Dixon, and they tied 1-1, but they actually lost in the penalty kicks afterwards. I heard that one of our star players got hurt and was taken out of the game.
That's not good.
Yeah. Liberty Ranch girls soccer played Dixon. Actually, they played Dixon tonight, but they did beat Sonora 5-0. So good luck to Liberty Ranch girls soccer tonight. And again, they're playing out right now, and it's cold as it is and wet out right now. They're playing soccer.
Cold.
Yeah. Galt High played Escalon. This is the boys. They won 5-0, and Liberty Ranch won 2-0. Both of those teams, both Galt and Liberty boys soccer teams, play tomorrow night, I believe. One of them is playing the second seed or fourth seed, I forget. But a lot of people are posting this stuff online. But anyways, the dream continues for the soccer teams for Liberty Ranch. So. And good luck to the girls tonight in that basketball. The boys at the basketball game for Liberty Ranch. Hope it goes well. Maybe somebody can give some updates if anybody's at the game and they want to throw that up there. So, other than that, I don't have any other sports stores. Thank you to the Schmidt family for giving us these scores each week. We really appreciate it. So community events. Let's talk about some other stuff going on. There is a lot of stuff happening right now in town. We have a bunch of community
time of year.
We're going to have some flyers before we get to our main discussion here. And if you're just tuning right now, we are going to be talking about the project that was approved by the Planning Commission last week. It's the Simmerhorn Ranch retail project on the freeway. This is the one, with the Maveriks station and the In-N-Out Burger, supposedly, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be talking about all that coming up soon. And we're going to be talking about some Galt growth and this and that. So tune in as we get to that here shortly. So this is a CERT program. If you don't know what CERT is Citizens Emergency Response Training, Response Team. I'm sorry. And this is, I actually did this.
Community Emergency Response Team.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Close.
What did I say?
You said citizens, but it's close.
Oh yeah, citizens. Yeah. So my whole family did this. It was pretty cool. They teach you how to do all kinds of stuff, CPR. How to be, because the idea of this is that there's like a national disaster or whatever, or some big thing, that these people can be deployed and they're all ready to go and they know how to be in emergency situations.
When I worked for the county, we had a separate ID, and we were considered like emergency workers, to where if there was like a big natural disaster or some kind of crazy big event,
really,
they would use us. And they never trained us in anything, but we were all.
Well, these people are trained. These people are
yeah.
trained. There's multiple classes. You can actually go up different levels. You can do a basic level, and then you can go up to like level 2, level 3. You can go way higher, but it's free. So it doesn't cost anything. You can scan the QR, or you can just you can Google Elk Grove Galt Cert
You know where the classes
.org.
are? Where are the classes at? Are they at the
They're-
police department?
They were over at the police department. That's where we did them
community
over there.
room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Galt classes.
Well,
will be
they do
there.
some outdoor stuff too, though. We went out to the
Yeah.
outdoor outside of the police department, so it was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool. All right, so if you want to check into that, you can go to elkgrovegaltcert.org. Our next event we're going to throw up here is the Galt Saturday Market. Market season starting up March the 7th. Is the first one of the year. So this is on the 4th Street Promenade. If you've never been, it is from, I forget the hours. Is it from 9?
9. I think it starts at 9.
9 to 2. Yeah, I should know because I was a part of starting this off. But great event every Saturday. Hopefully the weather be good because I know that the risk that we ran by extending the season into March and then into November is, of course, there's a chance of weather could be, inclement weather could whatever. But
and if it's not, then it is what it is. But
so check out the Galt Saturday Market. Next up, we got a prime time for the Warriors. This is a fundraiser dinner for the Galt Warriors, the athletic boosters.
This is a prime rib dinner.
Yeah.
This is.
Wow, they're not fooling around. $65. Right? Of course, this is a fundraiser. So, but for $65, man, you can't even
prime rib dinner for $65.
I mean, you almost pay that anyways at a restaurant, right?
I mean, you go to a lot of the other fundraisers they're having are $75 and $85.
No host bar, musical bingo.
Ones.
This is going to be at the Littleton Center. March 28th. So this is a while out. We're going to advertise this one more before we get there, but
we plan to go.
We want to throw it out there just to get it out in the mix. March 28th. So it's coming. So put it on your calendars.
I love prime rib.
All right. Next event is going to be a spaghetti dinner. This one is at the Grange Hall on 5th Street. So the Grange Hall on 5th Street is a little white building. This is a American Legion Post 22 Lodi, but this is going to be in Galt though. Spaghetti dinner. The Brossman family, if good friends of ours, they are involved in this, and they asked us to share this. It is March 21st. Again, a little ways off, but we're throwing these up. We're going to start advertising these.
You got to start planning your Saturdays.
Yeah, exactly. There's always something to do. There is always something to do in this town. I don't know if people
go. Sean, there's nothing to do in Galt.
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean there's something to do? There's
nothing going on. Yeah. All right. Next event. What do we got? Empty Bowl fundraiser. Another fundraiser. This is for the Sunshine Food Pantry. This is the new food
This is
pantry.
their big fundraiser every year. This is what they get a lot of their funding throughout the year.
Yeah, you're going. Actually, I might go. You have been invited. You can purchase the tickets by calling Faye Gaines. We had Faye on the show not too long ago talking about the Sunrise Pantry. They feed thousands. I'm not saying hundreds, thousands
of local citizens
of people in Galt every month. Thousands. I'm not even joking.
Like I still am blown away by the amount of people locally who rely on the food pantry.
Yeah,
and it's such a vital piece to give to people.
Shout out to Faye and her team. There's so many hard-working volunteers over there that just give all their time.
And if anybody, they do it on the second and fourth Thursday of the month or something, I think is when they're giving out their food. But if anybody wants to volunteer, they are always looking for help, setting up, handing out. I was talking to one of the volunteers today, and she mentioned that they've had some of their volunteers have had some health issues and stuff, and so they've been kind of short of volunteers lately. So if there's any groups or organizations or high school kids looking for volunteer hours, take a look at that.
Yeah,
but this is a good one. $20 this is all. I mean, you get $20
a bargain.
for a meal.
I mean, you can't even. Most fundraisers are way more than that.
I can't go to fast food for $20 and get a meal for myself.
Not anymore. So. All right, next event. We just want to throw. So this isn't an event, but I wanted to mention that the Galt Teen Center is looking for adult volunteers. They have people that volunteer their time. If you can volunteer one day a month, just one day, one evening, they could use your help. You have to be over 21. And basically what you do is you basically just over there and you're at the center while the teens and stuff are hanging out. If you've ever been to the Galt Teen Center, it's right there underneath the Galt Water Tower. And they have all kinds of cool things set up in there. And it's kind of a place where the teens congregate and have fun in a safe environment. And they need adults to, when they open in the evenings, they need adults there. So if you'd like to volunteer, and like I said, you can volunteer 1 day, 2 days, just whatever, just the minimal time is all they're asking for. You can contact the Galt Teen Center. You can look them up on social media at galteencenter.org on the internet. You can email them at galteencenter@gmail.com. You can call the phone number on there.
Again, I think the Teen Center is a great piece for the city.
Yep.
That's in the old VFW building.
Yep. All right. Next slide. We're like a little slideshow going on here. That might be it. I think that's it. All right. Well, so if you want any more information about this stuff, we will be posting all these on our social media at Great Mackerel Town on Instagram. And you can see those flyers there. And you can also email us if you want more information at greatmackereltown@gmail.com. And we can pass on information about any of this stuff to you should you want to participate.
You know, all those things, all these events and stuff we have, these fundraisers, though, they're so crucial and vital to the community and giving back to the community. And so if anybody can make it to any of them and make a donation, by far, do it.
Yep. Ruben says, I love the picture of me and you, Sean. Hey, that's a cool picture, man. I don't look as cool as you, Ruben. That hat,
what I was gonna say. It's a good picture,
dude,
Ruben. I don't know about
that hat was like the business. I'm telling you, that's what my buddy. He's got me stuck on that word now. He says that's the business. That's the word. Like if something's like the best or the cool thing, it's the business. That's what it is. Yeah. So, anyways, all right, moving on. So let's talk about some city stuff and go into this. Talk about this whole In-N-Out Burger thing. So we had a city council meeting last night.
Yep.
And I'll skip the boring stuff, but I will mention that so we passed a thing for a branding campaign. So we're going out to a consultant to launch a branding campaign. So they're going to be doing 2 council members, myself and Vice Mayor Tim Reed, are going to be on ad hoc committee, and we're going to be working with staff and the community to do outreach as much as possible to get ideas from the people. What is Galt known for? What would you like to see Galt? And so they're trying to brand. We feel like we need to refresh they're going to be refreshing the city logos, the city's, because the city is a business and you have to market the city. You're saying, why should you come move here? Why should you open a business in Galt? All that's marketing, and this is marketing, and the Galt market is a business. And so we need to, they're refreshing the market logos.
And the problem is that there's at least three different kinds of logos or designs being used. So there's no unity or
there's no consistency.
There's no consistency.
And yeah. So anyways, we passed that. So that'll take place over the next 8 to 10 months.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking I should be a consultant.
What would you consult on?
Huh?
What would you consult on?
I don't know. I'll make something up. Government agencies are always hiring consultants for this and that and whatever.
Yeah, people love consultants.
Yeah.
So we did a treasurer's report, and I only want to mention this because one of our sponsors is our city treasurer. So shout out to Mr. Sean Farrell. Thanks for always being a part of our show, Sean. Hopefully you're tuning in right now watching. But Sean always likes to give the city's financial treasury report, and then he also gives us some data. So the data he gave last night was, so the median family home in Galt, this is about a 1,700-ish home. That's the median that the data he gives is, I've always got these numbers right. 549,000 is the list price. The selling price has been around 539. So what that tells you is that the market's softening a little bit. You're not seeing houses sell for more than the asking price. They're actually, some of them are selling for a little less, but still $540,000 for a house in Galt. That's the average. That's a big number.
But what I want to know, because I watch his reports when he gives them, and I want to know, is it based on
actually?
The zip
I don't
code?
know if it was 639 or 540. I might be off on that number. I think I might have messed that up. I think it was 639.
No,
anyway.
I think it was 5. I think you were at 5.
Okay,
I watched it.
Okay,
but I think what I want to know is it all based on the zip code? So does he include homes like my house is outside of city limits, but it's the same zip code?
I don't know.
Or is it only the homes within the city limits? I'd like to know that kind of information.
Yeah.
But I think part of what that, when you said it's softening a little bit, right? Some of that is because there's been a lot of homes put on the market with these developments that are building them. And then, of course, if they're struggling to sell them, maybe they're reducing some of their prices a little bit. So
also,
I'd like to know like new home sales versus existing home sales.
Yeah. Well, he's not part of his. He's not there to report on home stuff.
No, I know he
just adds that. He just adds that to give you some context.
I liked his explanation as to why the city has does business with farmers merchants for and continues to is because they were the bank that was in existence when Galt was formed in 46. So I liked his explanation on that.
So another thing of note was the city of Galt has made more money on its investments and interest in the first 6 months of the fiscal year than the history of the city.
Right.
We've made a little over $3 million in interest just in 6 months, which is an unprecedented amount. I have to tell you, as a council member, it is really nice to see when I come in 2018, when everything was just doom and gloom and we were like not mowing the parks, we had to cut back on mowing. We had to like freeze positions and we were trying not to lay anybody off. So we didn't let people go, but it was just like, we're cutting this, we're cutting that. We cut sports programs. We canceled softball for the kids sport, all that stuff. We have turned a major corner. I mean, not only are we throwing a lot of money at Parks and Rec right now, building all kinds of new stuff, and maintenance is like night and day compared to what it was, but we're getting some projects done around town. And the city, the general fund for the city of Galt when I came into office was about $18 million. It was like 17 million something. It's 32 million now. In 7 years, it's almost doubled. So it's good that our city's, doing well financially, because there's other cities that are not. Like Lodi has got something going on right now with finances.
Well, so to play devil's advocate here, if you want to be, well, maybe that's not a good thing if you're somebody that thinks that they're paying too much in this stuff. Maybe our property taxes are too high. Maybe our taxes are too high. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, property taxes are set, but not set by the city. But
maybe I'm going to grumble and groan because now the city's got more money than they need.
Well, it's interesting.
But there's a reason behind
it's interesting that you say that, because here's something funny. If you have a city council and the city is doing very well financially, then, you're overcharging, or like you're raping the citizens for money, blah, blah, whatever. But if the city's in dismal straits and it's like, you're bankrupting our city, we need new people, we need leadership, they don't know how to run this city, like, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no win. It's a no-win situation.
Right. Much of what you do, there is a no-win situation.
Yeah. But great point though. But I'm just happy that the city, is not going to be bankrupt anytime soon. We're doing very well for a city our size. And all that means that we're going to have, great facilities, great parks. Police department's going to be well funded. There's money to do things. Now, with that said, there's a talk like, well, why aren't we fixing this, or why aren't we fixing that? Mm-hmm. There is still buckets of money. So, if you have like a big, huge enterprise project, like say it's a huge road reconstruction or something, there still has to be funding. You can't take Parks or Rec money and put it over in that, because some of the money is designated specifically, some by law, to be used for certain things. Like, for example, your water bill, when you pay your water bill, your trash bill, that money goes into a certain fund. We can't dip into that money and go build like a new playground. It's specifically to maintain the water treatment plant, or to maintain the wells, the lift stations, all that infrastructure that a lot of people don't even see that we take care of, that cost a ton of money, mind you, right? And so that's where that money has to be allocated. So anyways, let's talk about the Planning Commission. So had a huge meeting last week.
Yeah.
It was the place to be. Standing room only.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a Planning Commission meeting in all the years you've been on planning that's had that many people?
I've been on planning for this is my sixth year. Mm-hmm. I think we had more people at that meeting than all the other meetings combined. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And we have monthly meetings, and in 6 years of monthly meetings, we had more people at one meeting than all of them the rest combined.
Let me ask you this, Dan. Do you think that project is one of the biggest thing that you guys have done? Is the biggest project you've approved? Or do you think there's been something bigger that you guys did?
No, as a project as a whole, it's probably one of the biggest ones we've
maybe not biggest maybe not biggest in square footage or like land area, but like big to like it's like a huge impact. Like, right.
Yeah. Well, I think, the impact and the importance of that piece of land.
The importance. I'm not saying
probably more than
good, bad, whatever. I'm just saying the importance. Mm-hmm. It was a stressful meeting too. Yeah. You guys had, so I was there, I was watching. Mm-hmm. You guys had a lot of people that came and spoke just outright against the whole project. Mm-hmm. You had some people that spoke against just the Maverick piece of it. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you're wondering what we're talking about the Silverhorn Ranch project over there on the side of 99. It's the 40-something acres. Yeah,
45 acres.
That is going to be anchored by the Maverick gas station, and then some of the other tentative users that have committed in some form or another, like either written commitment or verbal commitment, is things like, In-N-Out Burgers. There's some other restaurants and some other things. Some big box retailers have shown some interest. None of them are for sure yet, but anyways, that's what we're talking about. So people came and they're like, well, we like the project, but we just don't like Maverick. I think it was interesting how some of the comments were like, we like the project, but we don't like the Maverick. So if you could just take the Maverick out and just do it without the Maverick. But why is that? What tell us what the input, tell us why the Maverick piece of that. What tell me what's the
Well,
importance?
without Maverick, you don't have the project.
And why is that?
Because they're going to put in the infrastructure for a portion of the project that has to come in first. So a lot of here's the thing people have to understand. There's a couple things. First off, the city of Galt does not build commercial property.
Right.
We don't build bowling alleys. We don't build gas stations. We
Or
don't
movie
build
theaters.
movie theaters. We don't build hotels. The city of Galt gets applications for someone to build a project on a piece of land. We have to take a look at that project, and we have to decide, does the project conform to the designation of that land?
Right. That how it's been zoned or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So this property that we're talking about has been zoned commercial
For how long?
as long as I can remember.
How long do you think the city's been trying to develop that land commercially? It's never been. So just to squash a thing,
Right.
There's been some discussions about, well, we got to quit. We should quit. I'm being devil's advocate here. We need to quit bulldozing farmland and building stuff on farmland. You're ruining our community. In high school, there was nothing being farmed on that land.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the land that's actually looking to be developed for this commercial property, I can't remember the last time anything was farmed on it. Maybe there's some cows out there on it.
Now the backside by Marengo possibly
yeah.
was farmed, right? But not the front commercial side.
Well, that's where the dairy was. The dairy was closer to the Marengo side than it was the freeway side. So yeah. I mean, there maybe
so without the Maverick. So what if Maverick was to be like? What if we would have said? When I say we, what if the city, the planning commissioner, you, as
if we would have approved the project and not approved, and again, people understand, we didn't approve the gas station per se. We approved the convenience store
conditional use permit for the
convenience store. So that's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But we could have said no to that. Okay, yeah, none of us are we're gonna say, the majority of the planning commission says no. If we say no to that, then the entire project would have probably not progressed, because
a lot of these users, these when I say tentative, because I want to be very clear, tentative means not 100%. There is not 100% that Panda Express or In-N-Out Burger or the other, there's been some names thrown around like, Target or, TJ Maxx. So there's been a lot of names thrown around. These were actually mentioned in the meeting itself, right? Nothing is 100%. But what you guys approved was, here's the layout of the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
You guys did a conditional use permit for up to 5 drive-through restaurants, 1 sit-down restaurant, a car wash, and then the convenience store. So you've approved the format. So now it's going to be up to the developer to go and say, is this going to be the In-N-Out Burger, or is that going to be a Chick-fil-A, or is that going to be something different? And then they'll come in. But the layout is kind of what you guys were looking at. Now there's, as you said, there could be some tweaks to the layout a little bit, but generally speaking, you guys approved some parameters, right, of the project.
Pretty much, yeah.
Some of those users, those tentative users, let's just say In-N-Out Burger. Let's just use that one, for example, because I know a lot of people were excited about the In-N-Out Burger.
And I want to make something clear. I didn't approve the project just because In-N-Out part of it.
No.
Or maybe be part of it.
I don't think you did.
That's
yeah.
That's not how I do things.
Some of those users, though, we're not interested in Galt. And Galt does a good job with trying to court, hey, you should come to Galt. You should bring a something to Galt. You should bring hey, Mr. Bowling Alley builder, you build bowling alleys. You should come to Galt. I'm making that up because I don't think there really is a bowling alley per se builder, but let's just say there was. But that's all they can do. It has to be up to the private enterprise to come in. It has to be the developer or the franchisee or whoever has to come in and say, okay, we're going to do and the staff told you this in the meeting. The only reason this has come to fruition and it's even on the table to be approved was that you had a group of people, In-N-Out Burger, Maverick, blah, 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 whatever, that have got together and say, we're willing to come into this project. If it wasn't for that group coming together and saying, we're going to do this, without certain pieces of it, it just, like you said, it just falls apart. Right. You pull one leg out of the chair and the whole chair just collapses.
Yeah.
So I think, just as devil's advocate, you guys as planning commissioners We're not up there like, I didn't see any of you like super excited, like, yes, we need a gas station. Yes. But you also weren't like, there wasn't like, I personally don't think that Galt's not done with seeing gas stations. There's going to be other gas stations built.
Right.
Even if the Maverick is built, there's going to be other gas stations, right? But I think that people have to look at the project as a whole, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and again, part of our job on planning is, again, it's not for us to piecemeal together a project. Part of our thing is we have to take a look at the entire project that's presented to us and say, does it meet the CEQA qualifications, the requirements? Does it meet the land use requirement? Does it check all these boxes? And if it does, then it's kind of, and even with the conditional use permits, of course, those are special permits for it. So, but again, if it fits into the project, then we really don't have a lot of grounds for denial. We have to have specific grounds for denial on a lot of projects.
Right.
And then if we did deny it, then it would come to city council for an appeal, and which we've seen on other projects that weren't commercial.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to do pros and cons here. There's been a lot of talk. This is a con. There's been a lot of talk about, this is going to create way too much traffic. Galt roads are not built to handle this plaza. This is obviously something that you guys would consider. There's a lot of questions I saw that were asked about this. Tell us about that. Why? I mean, we have an interchange at A Street, interchange at C Street. The interchange at A Street, the one that goes over right now, that's the one that tentatively will be the entrance to Maverick.
That'll curve down into the road that they put in, and that's where the Maverick will be. The Maverick is supposed to be built on the south end of the project, so that will be right there on the A Street where the A Street overchange is. When the A Street overchange was built, it was built with the intent of connecting to a road to go up to Simmerhorn. It was built to handle, and again, people have to realize, A Street and C Street overpass, those are new overpasses. Like they were built to a whole different standard.
We used to just have one overpass,
right?
And now we got two.
They were built to a whole different standard to handle heavier trucks, to handle heavier vehicles, to handle increased traffic. They were built for that purpose.
Yeah.
And they were built with the intent of connecting and moving on. So again, all this stuff was done. It's not like this is just something that popped up overnight that came about. And that's one thing I said in the meeting. This land has been part of the general plan of Galt since 2009, I think is what they said. And I say that if you go back even farther, you're going to find out that when the city leaders back in the early 80s decided that they were going to expand the city limits up to Twin Cities Road. And I know this because I grew up on a farm on Twin Cities. When they expanded in the early 80s, decided they were going to expand in the early 80s, this piece of land, which we always used to call the Notch Project, but this piece of land was always something that they had envisioned even 45 years ago that would someday be developed.
Well, for those of you that do not know this very site that this project was approved for was originally supposed to be the site for the Walmart that Galt has now.
Walmart.
It was a super Walmart. That project, and you know what? Hey, this is a great example right here. I didn't even think about this, but you know what happened to that project? You know what happened? That project was in 2008. So what is that? 12? No, it's not 12. It's 18 years ago. 18, almost 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago, this particular project, this area was supposed to be developed commercially, but the city council at that time fought against the Walmart, and there was people that were advocating against the Walmart. They're like, well, we don't want union. One of the council members was against the Walmart because it wasn't a union employee. They didn't employ
they thought
a union.
They could stop Walmart from coming to Galt.
They wanted to stop Walmart coming to Galt, because if Walmart came to Galt, this is what it was. If Walmart comes to Galt, small town Galt is done.
Right.
We're going to be Elk Grove.
Right.
We're going to be Elk Grove. If Walmart comes to Galt, we're going to be Elk Grove in 2 years. And that was 20 years ago, by the way.
I want to say something right now. Anytime I have a discussion with somebody, the first time that person tells me that we're turning Galt into Elk Grove, I stop talking to them. I lose respect for them, because anybody that thinks that we are turning Galt into Elk Grove is a fool. Elk Grove is 180,000 people.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Galt's 26,000.
We'll get to that.
We're not turning Galt into Elk Grove.
Yeah, you make a great point, and we're going to discuss some stuff on that point right there. But before we finish with that, let's go back. So they denied the Walmart. Somebody threw a monkey wrench and said no Walmart. So guess what happened? The Walmart ended up going over whatever, right? But guess what happened? Guess what the ultimate fail was? That property sat undeveloped.
Right.
So that was
and at that time, Walmart was going to be the anchor store,
right,
like the
for
Maverick
other
is.
Users. Yes,
Walmart was going to be the anchor store, and it was going to bring in an entire shopping center, and we'd have a sit down restaurant.
But because,
you'd have,
and they torpedoed the Walmart,
right,
in that site on that location. Then guess what happened? The whole thing fell apart. Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, the casino. Somebody said the casino was supposed to go. The casino was actually going to go north of Twin Cities, down kind of past over where you live, over that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing of it is, and the city councils of Galt in the past have been very, very good at shooting themselves in the foot on things, in my opinion. If you want to go back to the 80s, they were going to build Bill Graham Presents. If you don't know what Bill Graham Presents, they were going to build an amphitheater in Galt over there where Dry Creek Oaks is by the golf course. They're going to build this huge pavilion.
The one in Wheatland.
Right? Yeah, the one that's in Wheatland. Yeah, they were going to do like a big amphitheater there and all that. And I remember reading the article where the city council members said from the 1980s, it's going to create too much traffic for Galt. It's going to bring litter and crime to our community. We don't want that here. And do you know how much money that would have brought into the community that would have just flowed into businesses and stuff in the community? And again, this is not people moving here and building houses, because that's what people hate. Galt people hate more houses. I mean, that is an understood thing. Most people, 90% of the people in Galt, they don't want to see more houses. I totally understand. I get it. But when you have other things that are going to bring money into the community that are not houses, this is a way to get revenue to the city and to bring money that trickles into those small businesses and trickles into the community. And they torpedoed that too, because in my opinion, that they had a closed-minded attitude. They said, oh, we don't need book. Oh, it's going to create litter and crime. It's the same way you had, in my opinion, it's the same way you got people coming and saying that if you build this plaza, and nothing to do with even the Maverick, they're just saying, one lady said that if you build this shopping plaza and you have stores, and she didn't even mention the Maverick,
right,
that you're going to have human trafficking problem.
Right.
Well, and I'm not going to deny that in a big plaza that you couldn't have a human trafficking episode but I mean,
but you can have it at AMPM. You can have it at McDonald's on Twin Cities. You can have it at the park and ride. Like you could have human trafficking anywhere.
I think it's more likely that you would have prostitution, drugs, and all the things that people were all riled up about at that meeting. It's more likely you would have some of those at the existing hotels, some of the hotels that we have. I'm not saying that they're a bad hotel. I'm just saying it's just as likely that it would take place at those places as it would at, in the parking lot of In-N-Out Burger.
Let's talk about let's talk about this, the crime element that everybody wanted to bring up during the meeting about Maverick. Oh, crime and prostitution and all this. Maverick, we had a discussion with the gentleman from the Mavericks Corporation.
He was there, yeah.
And we asked him specifically, very specific questions.
You asked him, yeah.
First off, I asked him, does Maverick, are they in the business of building truck stops? He said, no, we don't build truck stops. In fact, they bought a truck stop in like Utah or Nevada. And the first thing they did is they took out the shower in the lounge. They build gas stations. Okay. It's not a truck stop. Number two, they have between 50 to 80 high security cameras on their facilities that are monitored 24 hours a day.
Right.
Okay. They don't want to have the reputation of having, prostitution and drugs.
How many you guys asked, how many pumps total is there at the Maverick, and how many are the truck fuel?
There, for the truck fueling part of it, there's going to be 5 pumps, but there's no truck parking.
Right. But how many pumps total? Just
5 for the truck side. I know,
but I'm talking about the entire station has X pumps, but only 5 of them are truck.
I think it was somewhere between 24 and 28.
Yeah. So out of 20, let's say 24. So out of 24, only 5 of them are going to be for trucks.
Yeah. And it'll be a separate island. There'll be a separate island.
Yeah.
There's
but
this
that's
island.
That's the funny part though, is that like people are like, you know what? I have already envisioned what it's going to look like. You go out to there's one where you go and people were actually there in support of saying that, hey, I have an RV. Mm-hmm. I can't fuel up anywhere in town because I can't get my RV in any gas station in Galt. And they can't pull in comfortably. So there's a lot of people who are going to benefit. There's going to be an RV dump station for waste dump, right? So there's those things too that I think people were in support of. But the negativity from what I saw as a bystander watching this, most of the negative comments came from the fact that they felt like the gas station element was going to be a huge negative to the community.
Yeah.
to me, I look at that and I go, to me, I don't think it's any different than any other gas station, to be honest with you. I mean, there's other gas stations in town.
Well,
I mean, do we see?
I've seen trucks fuel up at other gas stations.
Is there prostitutes over at 76 station on Summerhorn Road?
I have no idea.
What about the Chevron next door? Do you see prostitutes there? I don't see prostitutes there. Those are nice stations.
Right.
The 76 station and the owner of that 76 station has done a good job keeping that station very nice.
Mm-hmm.
People don't go and say, oh, the city council, you guys should have never approved that 76 station that has that right there on the, whatever, because you're going to bring prostitutes and human trafficking, whatever. Nobody ever said that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that there's misinformation out there on this project. I think there was there's always this what if that a lot of people on any project, there's always a group of people that are about the what ifs, and there's always this, people use their imagination and they go, oh, this is going to bring this, this is going to bring that. And then it doesn't come to fruition. And, so I think that,
what I saw at that meeting?
Could you imagine if a group of people, when they were building Sago milk plant, could you imagine if there was a group of people out there protesting going, oh, this is going to bring, you're going to destroy the small town of Galt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that was one of our.
So let me ask you this:
sacred sites.
When people say this is going to ruin, every time something similar to this comes along, people say, "Oh, it's going to ruin Galt. It's going to ruin small town Galt. It's going to ruin whatever." In your opinion, I'm not a big fan of Walmart, like per se. I'm not a huge Walmart thing, but I'm going to ask you a question, then I'll give my opinion. Do you think the presence of Walmart in Galt? Would you agree that there's negatives and positives to Walmart and Galt?
Oh yeah.
Do you think that the negatives outweigh the positives, or the positives outweigh the negatives? In your opinion, what do you think?
I mean, on the one side, they're the largest tax revenue for the city out of any other business.
Okay, but if
on the other side, there's probably been more law enforcement calls to respond to Walmart than any other location in town.
Could be, yeah.
So
shoplifting.
So again, it's
So as a citizen,
does it provide jobs? Yeah, my son worked there at one time.
My mom works there.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, do I shop there? Yeah, I go there.
Yeah.
Well, if I need a garden hose, where do I go? Probably going to Walmart.
Positives for Walmart, they provide things that you can buy that you can't buy anywhere else in town. They provide competitive pricing, blah, blah, blah. Now you could, and they provide jobs. They provide the tax revenue you mentioned. There's all those things. On the negative side, you could say, well, it's created a lot of traffic over there on Twin Cities. True.
Mm-hmm.
You could say they've hurt some smaller businesses. They've hurt like some of the grocery stores because they serve whatever. True. To some extent that happens. I'm sure it does. So those are the negatives, right? Let me ask you this, Dan. Someone that just heard you say, well, they're the number one tax generator. What if some citizen said, well, who gives a crap? Who cares how much tax? Who cares how much sales tax? The city of Galt gets that. I don't see that money. That doesn't go to people.
But you do see it.
How?
Because what does the city use that money for? And you know that better than I do.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking a question I already know the answer for. But so for those of you that don't know, we have two tax measures in town. One of them was passed in 2008. It was called Measure R. Measure R is a 0.5-cent sales tax. Okay. Measure Q, which is just passed in 24, is a full cent. That means that every 0.5 cent and every full cent, so every cent and a half combined, that's spent in this town for sales tax goes to Galt Police Department to fund school resource officers, to fund motor officers. They buy equipment with that stuff. On the Parks and Rec side, if anybody hasn't been paying attention, let me tell you what that money's been doing so far. We have almost replaced every single playground at every park in the city of Galt so far. We have a new water slide that's almost finished. Never would have happened without that money. We have a new skate park that's going out to bid right now that will be done by the end of summer. These are just the start. All the programs that you see, the flyers we throw up like this, that, Parks and Rec, whatever, all that money comes from Parks and Rec money. The flea market of Galt cannot fund all of that by itself. Measure Q has been a game changer for the city of Galt. And to me, Parks and Rec, the reason why that's important, Parks and Recreation is one of those things, just like public safety, right? So you have Parks and Rec and you have public safety, right? Tied to those two tax measures. Those two things are intertwined in the very fabric of quality of life for the city of Galt. So when someone says, who gives a crap about how much tax revenue Walmart puts in, I would say, okay, without Walmart, you know what? I can say right now, without Walmart, I bet you could cut minimum 5 or 6 police officers right off the police force right now, at least.
So here's the thing too. So we got the planning commission got a letter sent to us from the Police Officers Association president the day before the meeting or something, a couple days before, and they said that they were in support of this project. They believe that they have the resources currently that they can handle any type of crime that might be associated with a new commercial area.
You got a letter from Galt PD saying they supported the project.
Yep.
So for people
that were the PD from the Association of the Officers,
right,
Officer Association,
right.
So again, as a commissioner, I look at the facts.
So what that was the police officers. That's our police officers themselves saying that they supported the project,
and because they felt that it was a good project for the city and that they can handle anything that's going to come that may have any increased crime. But here's the thing: as a commissioner, I look at the facts. I look at the known facts. Okay, this project is going to increase sales tax revenue for the city. And again, that's going to be an increase in Measure R and an increase in Measure Q. Okay. Measure R goes to law enforcement. So it's going to provide more funding for our local law enforcement. Measure Q is going to provide more funding for our local parks and rec and things like that. Okay. That's a fact with this project. This project is going to provide jobs for our teenagers, jobs for our citizens. It's going to provide jobs. There's a potential for a hotel. There's potential, like you said, for a big box retail. There's potential for sit-down restaurant. Those are facts.
Waitresses, food workers.
The fact. It's a development on a piece of land that has not been actively farmed for decades. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Now, will it potentially create more traffic? Yes. Do when people talk about, oh, we got to widen Highway 99 and stuff like that, that's not on us. Okay, that's not on the city.
Yeah,
that is the state of California and Caltrans.
But we are working on that.
But we're working to push them. Yeah. Right. There's been pressure from the city. There's been pressure from our state senator. But the problem is there are things that are not within our control.
Yeah.
But again, when I make a decision on the planning, I make a decision based on the facts that are known. I don't make a decision. Or I make that decision. I don't make a decision based on, well, what if? Well, what if prostitution? And what if those aren't facts? There's no facts to support those. Those are theories that people want to use to try to scare people from supporting an issue. And that's not what I make a decision on.
I think people need to understand too, is a lot of people think that, going back to the comments I made about Walmart, when in 2008, when the Walmart came, there's a lot of people said, well, if Walmart comes, small town Galt is done with. That's going to be the end of it. There could be some people saying right now, although not one of the public speakers that came and said something against it, said, if you let the Maveriks come in or that's going to be the end of Galt. I have had people privately come to me and go, well, if you put this big shopping plaza in, I don't know, it's just going to change Galt. It's not going to be the same. Well, look, to be honest with you, this is probably the last of the Save Mart Plaza. When the Save Mart Plaza came and they bulldozed the old Galt Middle School and they put the Save Mart and the CVS, it wasn't CVS to start with, but Payless or whatever, and they put that whole shopping plaza, whatever. Do you think that people thought, well, there goes Galt, there goes the small town Galt that our town's done with?
Well,
and did it do that?
Right.
Did it do that?
No. And you and I have talked, Sean, that every generation of people will remember Galt at a certain size, right? My dad can tell you when Galt was a couple thousand people.
Yeah,
probably,
my dad too.
Right,
when they went to high school together. Yeah.
So you think that he doesn't think that the growth that occurred in the 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s, at no point did my dad ever say, "Well, they're ruining Galt. There goes a small town of Galt." Right? He's never said that.
Right.
The Galt that I remember is not the Galt that he remembered, but the Galt I remember from my youth versus where we are today today's much bigger than it was, right? But at the same time, I think it's much better. And like we've talked, there used to be boarded up buildings in Galt, right? The Brewster building was a boarded up, derelict building.
Yeah, and the Galt that you and I grew up in, even though we had fond memories of that, but there was you and I, even though we loved Galt at the time, we were desperate for amenities. We would go to Lodi, right. Sacramento, right. Whatever. That Galt that you and I grew up in, that's what Galt looks like with no revenue coming in.
Right.
Because there's no money to do anything. You don't have nice parks. You don't build new fields. You don't have nice, amenities for people to, you just don't have any of that stuff. You don't.
Right.
Now some people will romanticize and go, yeah, but I loved that Galt. I wish it was like that again. But here's the thing. You said something the other day that made me think. You guys, our job as leaders, as you as a planning commissioner, me as a city council member, is to think about the progress and shaping the future of this town for the next generation, for people like my daughter sitting next to me, for people like maybe her children after that, right? We're shaping the community because you know what? That people, they're not going to remember Galt with 2,000 people or even 7,000 people. Right. You and I said this. So your dad is a little still alive. My dad's gone. In 10 or 15 years, there won't be anybody alive that's going to remember when Galt was 2,000 people. Right. When you and I are gone in 30 years, 25, 30, we don't know, right? In 20 years, 20 years is going to go by like that. Right. There'll be half the generation gone that will remember Galt when it was 7,000 people. So there'll only be our children's generation that remember when it was 25,000 people, right?
Correct. So
the thing of it is, you have to shape the community for the people that are coming. You can't just only shape it for those people that want to sit around and reminisce about the good old days when it was 2,000 people. Because if we're going to keep Galt like that, Galt is going to wither like an old piece of fruit on a vine and die.
And I've told you before, and I still stick with this. A lot of the people that want to keep Galt small are the people that'll tell you, well, when I moved here 20 years ago or 25 years ago, Galt, I moved here because it was a small town and that's what was the appeal. Okay. But when you moved here, it got bigger. For every one of those people that moved here,
everybody wants
we had to build a house for them to live in.
Everybody wants to shut the door behind them.
And it got bigger. That's not how it works. You don't get to move someplace and close the door behind you.
So living in Galt, California, our viewer said, I looked up Maveriks gas station prices. Seem like they're known for a competitive price. So I'll hope everybody in town. You know what, sir? You make a good point. Why is it that the gas in Galt is typically at least 25 to 50 cents higher than anywhere else around us? We've looked it up. I looked up Gas Buddy the other day and I looked at Jackson. Jackson was sub $5. I'm sorry, sub $4, right? Lodi, Kettleman Lane. I looked over there. I looked at Elk Grove, and everywhere was cheaper than Galt. Why? So let me ask you this. So why is it that a bunch of gas station owners in Galt or in the region seem to be upset about the Maverick? I mean, just saying. Well, so let's talk about the population thing again. Everybody keeps saying to you. So I did.
Sometimes competition is good.
I went down a rabbit hole today about some stuff because you and I were talking. And we were like, everybody keeps saying, we're gonna turn into Elk Grove. We're gonna turn into Elk Grove. To be honest with you, and I know people might get mad and say this, that's the stupidest comment ever.
Yep.
It is physically, geographically impossible.
Unless Galt started to build up, unless we build skyscrapers.
There you go.
Everywhere.
Hey,
we'll never be Elk Grove.
There's an idea. So listen to this. So I started doing some comparisons. Okay. I started doing some comparisons because I wanted to see how could Galt become Elk Grove? Let's see how we can make that happen. So currently Galt is 26,000 people, right? Just rounding it off. Okay. Elk Grove is 180,000 people, right? Okay. Galt is the 290th city in California. Elk Grove, 145 in the entire country. Not California.
Yeah.
They are the 145th size city in the entire nation.
Yeah.
They are 23rd in California, and we're 290. Okay. Galt is 7.1 square miles. Elk Grove is 42 square miles.
Oh my God.
42. That's 6 times.
And my dad can remember when Galt and Elk Grove were the same size. A lot of people,
Right. So growth rates. Let's look at some growth rates. So Galt in 1906, which was 120 years ago, Galt was 1,000 people. Okay. I did all this up through I used AI for all these stats and stuff, right? So Galt going from 1,000 people to 25,000
wasn't even a city
in 120 years. There has averaged 2.7% over 120 years. If you average the entire 120 years, is 2.7%.
Yeah.
I did the same thing for Elk Grove, and they're 7%. 7 average. That's more than 3 times, right? Currently, Galt's growth rate currently, and this came from the office of the city manager today, which was presented to the Galt Herald. The Galt Herald is doing a story on growth, and this is the information that was presented directly to them. Galt's current growth rate right now, or actually over the last few decades, has been 0.66%. Less than 1%. Less than 1% on average, right? Okay. Elk Grove historically has a 7% annual rate. They have had 3 decades. Elk Grove has had 3 different decades where they have grown. In one decade, they grew 155% in one decade. In another decade, they grew 194%. And then the biggest decade, which was from 2000 to 2010, Elk Grove was the fastest growing city in the entire United States. Number 1, fastest growing. They grew 243% in 10 years. These are mind-blowing statistics, right? So what I would say is it's not only highly unlikely, you would have a better chance of winning the lottery, Dan, of Galt ever becoming. It is physically impossible for Galt to be Elk Grove.
About that. We can't grow south because we're already up against the county line. You can't grow across the county line. We can't grow north because you have the nature preserve.
Well, not a little bit, but that's zoned industrial a little bit. But you can't go much. You can go a couple exits, but
up
not
to
much.
a point, right? But you're not going to go all the way to Elk Grove. Is what I'm saying. Galt and Elk Grove can't touch.
And you can't go very much west. There's a little bit of land west, like, Posey property, this and that. But mainly you have a lot of ranchettes.
Right.
So developers, they like to come in and buy like 80 acres that belongs to one people, right? They're not going to come in and buy a 5 acre, somebody's mansion on 5 acres.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
that's fiscally impossible. So you've pretty much landlocked.
Well, but the other problem going that way, going west, is you do get into floodplain. You get into the river. You just can't physically build there.
So east is the way we could go.
New Hope Road was flooded today. And Twin Cities is probably going to be flooded tomorrow from what it sounds like.
So east is the direction.
Right. Yeah. And then then let's talk about growing east. Again, that's where you've got you got a lot of ranchettes out to the east side. Galt physically cannot, there is a limitation to the size that Galt can physically grow to. Will it grow over the next 30 years? Yes. And anybody that moves here that thinks it's not has been given wrong information.
So I use some AI, ran some numbers around, right? So it is estimated at the current trend that Elk Grove is growing, if they stay consistent, that it is estimated that by 2040 is how long away? 14 years?
Yeah.
14 years from now. They said that Elk Grove is projected to be 300,000 people. They're 182 right now.
Yeah.
So that's what the projection is in 14 years. That's what this is based on data.
They're already out to I-5, so they've got.
So I Googled this question, and somebody could do this on their own phone if they don't believe me. Based on historic growth trends, when will the city of Galt reach 50,000 people? Now let's hold that before you tell the answer right now. I want to say the general plan of Galt is when the city comes together and they form a plan that's saying we predict Galt's going to be this. The general plan was formed in 2009. That's the last time we did general plan. The current plan was formed in 2009. That was a long time ago. It expires. Yeah. It expires in 2030.
Right.
So in 4 years, our general plan will expire.
But the discussions are going to be starting within the next year.
Yeah. But it's irrelevant. Yeah. But in that discussion of the general plan, it was thought out. It was thought that by 2030, that Galt will be 50,000 people.
That everything within the general plan would have been built on already.
Yeah. So in 2030, this was our predictions in 2009, that by 2030, Galt would be 50,000 people. That's in 4 years. We're only half that number.
Right.
Okay. So I Googled, asking based on current trends and that's going right now in building, when will Galt be 50,000 people? You want to know what it said?
2050.
2075.
Oh, Jesus.
That's basically that's almost outside of our lifespan.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we could live to be 2075, but it's probably not like
pushing the end of my son's lifespan as well.
Yeah. 2075. That's based now. Again, this is only based on data.
I would be 101.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So it's outside of your lifespan. So based on the current trends, that's when Galt will be 50,000. Now I want to say that's 50,000 people. Elk Grove is currently still over three times that number of 50,000. So again, someone who says Galt is going to be Elk Grove
Well,
is
we're
probably
turning
the
Galt
most
into Elk Grove.
the most ridiculous
Yeah.
thing
That's what I get
that
pissed
somebody
on.
could
We're
say.
just turning Galt into Elk Grove.
What I can tell you is that Galt, and we talked about this the other day, I don't think Galt is going to be, I don't even think Galt's going to be 40,000 people in the next 20 years. I just don't think, and I would bet money somebody today. Somebody want to bet me money? Let's take that wager. I'll take it because it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
We're not seeing, and there's some other things. And so let's switch to another thing real quick, having to do with growth and stuff. One of the biggest misconceptions when people talk about Galt and growing, oh, well, they're building those houses. Dan, what are we going to do about more schools? We need another school.
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey Middle School. When are we going to build another middle school? The biggest misconception, and we talked about this in the last show, is that we don't have enough schools to house all the growth that Galt is having right now. I was at a CAST meeting last week, and we were presented with data. This is CAST data is from the school district. They give us this data. These are experts that come and they do predictions on, because they have to calculate, do we need a new school? Do we need, what are we going to do for enrollment? Blah, blah, blah. They said that they don't see a discussion for a new school site necessary for at least 10 more years.
And when you say they,
10
elementary
years.
district.
Elementary district.
Yeah. Because there's two different districts. People have to remember that.
Elementary district. Well, on the high school side, they didn't give us that data, but on the high school side, they have a high school site that was supposed to be in Cost Road.
Yep.
They've decided to sell that to a developer because they don't think they're going to need it.
Do you know that but do you know when I was in high school and Galt was growing then, right? We were growing in the late 80s, early 90s, and we were growing pretty rapidly at that time. That at that time, the school district was already planning. They figured by now we'd have all 3 high schools built. By 2020, you were supposed to have 3 high schools.
So what was the peak of Galt High School attendance when we had one school?
I think it was around 2,100 people. 2020.
I heard it was 19. So let's just say it's 2,000.
About 2,000.
So let's just say 2,000 people, right? So at the height,
but they had to have split lunches.
Right.
You know, they did things because they had.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in a ton of portables.
But what I get at is we had one school with 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay. We said we need another school, so they built Liberty Ranch. Currently, right now, there is less than 1,000 students. Actually, I think there's less than 900 students.
I think it's about 900 each one right now.
So to combined, we have 1,800 students.
Yeah, but what happened was the growth was so rapid, and the influx of students was so rapid.
Yeah, I'm not trying to unjustify the need for the school. I'm just saying.
What it did though, they were basically caught unprepared.
Yeah,
is what happened. And so that's why they built the second school.
So, and I'm not trying to debunk that decision. That decision was made on data at the time. What I'm saying right now is people think that we need another school. They think we need another middle school. So let me tell you another data point that was given to us. They said, we need another middle school, Dan. That's what people said to me. They say to you, they say to me, Galt, Sean, when is Galt get another middle school? They're building houses over here. When are we going to get another middle school? The school district told me on last Thursday night that by the year 2032, which is only 6 years from now, in 6 years from now, McCaffrey Middle School is projected to be at 65% capacity. 65%.
And what people have to remember about McCaffrey, when they built McCaffrey Middle School, it was built to accommodate a larger number of students. What they could have done is they could have built a smaller middle school at that time, and then a smaller, and actually they had 2 middle schools because Greer used to be the middle school. But they could have built a smaller middle school, right? And maintained the 2 middle schools. But what happens when you have 2 middle schools? You have 2 principals, you have 2 sets of vice principals, you have two of everything. You have duplicate of everything.
Right.
And so when you're running a district, if you can keep it all in one school, it's about cost. And our districts aren't rich districts. The way the state funds schools is not right. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
But that's what, so the intent was, hey, we're going to build a big campus.
So how is
to meet our future
we're
needs.
going to throw up, Kellen, can you throw up, there's 2 data. I want to throw this up while we talk. There's one that shows census records, and there's another one that just shows, it's, if you look back in the email, it'll say, population data. There's two different ones. While she's looking for that, it's not too far back in not that one. Yeah, see that one, not that one, but the other one. There's another one just like it. Throw that one up. So people are going, well, how are we growing with all these houses And how are we not getting more kids into school? Like, why is the population of Galt not going up? Like, how is that possible? Because I've said before that it's on a different email. How is that not happening? So I went down a rabbit hole today.
Yeah.
I was just out of curiosity. I went down a rabbit hole. Do you know that in the United States that the total fertility rate, so this is birth rates, right? This is how many people are having children. In 2007, we hit a milestone. In 2007, how many years ago was that? Right? In 2007, the fertility rate fell from 2.12 to 1.6. The replacement rate is 2.1. We have fallen below the replacement rate. Okay. And so I started looking at all this stuff, and it was mind blowing. They were saying the decline in births, whatever. And so I have a daughter. I have 3 daughters, for those of you who don't know. One of my daughters is sitting next to me. She'll be 31 next month. I have another daughter who will be 30 at the end of the year. Did you know that currently in the United States, that less than 50%, so women under the age of 30 account for less than 50% of the births? Less than 50. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about girls all the way up to the age of 30 that they only account for they account for less than 50% of all births. So that means that that the births are having 50%. They were saying that births from ages 20 to 24 fell by 44% after 1990, which is when we got out of school, right? So yes, that's the one. So we're going to throw up a thing that shows populations in Galt. So
is the other 50% men up to 30?
So yeah. So it said, so what basically it means is said, this is what it says here. Consequently, roughly half of American women now reach the age of 30 without having a child.
Yeah.
Half. Mm-hmm. Think about that number for a second, Dan. Half.
I think, Sean, if you looked at marriages, I think there's a lot less people getting married today than even our generation or the generation before us.
So hold on. I got a couple more data. I want to touch on these last 2 that I got here. So it also said that going above the age of 30. So they're saying, okay, that's just 39. Let's go a little bit more than that. Let's say that kids, let's say that they want to wait till they're out of college and they got a career going. So between the ages of 30 and 34, 40% of women aged 30 to 34 were still childless. 40%. That's almost half. Okay. And then last stat I'm going to share with you. They actually polled, and the number of people who say that they don't have any desire to have children has doubled in the last 20 years. You know how many, what percentage of people, of women, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
This is a big number.
Okay. But I want to give you a theory. So,
okay. 29% of women say that they don't have a desire to have children.
Right.
30%.
Because here's the thing you have to remember. The American dream for our parents' generations and our grandparents' generations is different than what the American dream is for our kids' generation. Because there's been a lot of obstacles put in the way of them and reaching that American dream. It used to be, what were we told? Even our generation, you were told you had to graduate high school, right? And then what? You either had to go to college, the military, right, or a career, right? Because, and why? Because then you had to find somebody, get married, start a family, buy a house. All of this stuff is what we were told. We were told by the movies. We were told by TV. You were told by stories. You were told by family. I mean, how many times do you go to an event, before you got married, and, there's Aunt so-and-so over there going, so you seen anybody? You're going to get, or even when you had a girlfriend. Yeah. Well, so when's the wedding? And then once you get married, well, when are you going to have kids? Right. Like there used to be the pressure put on you, right? Yeah. And I don't think this next generation has that as much like we did. But I also think it's harder for them to buy houses. It's tougher for them to, and I'm not saying that they have a tough generation. I think that every generation has its own tough things to deal with, hard things to deal with. But I think that it's a different mind frame. But
it's crazy
than it was.
I do,
and I think you see it but I think you see it started with our generation. Because I know several people
Right,
who are
but I'm
50
talking,
now
but I'm
and
talking,
that never got married, never
yeah,
had
but
kids.
I'm not talking about our generation. You were born in 1972. The
I
data
was
that
born in 74.
the 74, the data that I'm sharing with you only started to take place in 1990.
Right. But
So
I'm telling you, this is a different generation.
no, I know.
This generation that's today, they have more difficulties in reaching the American dream. The rest of us, we all
Right,
had a dream. We all had, we all thought of what life would be like with a family and when we got married and with all that.
so
I don't think kids
yeah.
today in this generation, I don't think they have those thoughts.
Right, but I'm talking about, but outside of the American dream, it's not just about the American dream. It's just they just don't desire to have children. They want to travel. They want to go places. They just have a different thought of how they want to live their life. They don't really. They look at a child.
Their American dream is different than our American dream was. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I get your point. I get you. That's what you're saying. What I'm just trying to say is that they just look at life differently. It's not just about a dream. It's just they're not just saying it has nothing to do with a picket fence and a house and a mortgage and stuff. Sometimes they just look at things. They're just looking at it differently. But what's crazy is and they're saying socioeconomically too. They're saying it's just too expensive to have children. A lot of people are saying, "Well, I don't want to have a kid because it costs too much money. It's too expensive to clothe them and put them in school and all this kinds of stuff." So what I'm saying is, to get back to this is outside of Galt, but this is a number. When you go down this rabbit hole and this is going to change not just our country, but it's going to change the world.
Right. But I also think the other part of it too is I think that it's easier for people to relocate today than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? So a lot of people settled for where they lived, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of parents have said, hey, I'm not putting up with the politics in California. We're moving to this state to raise our kids. Or we're moving to that state.
Yeah, but they could still move and have kids.
Right. But what I'm saying though is I think you've seen a lot of families move out of California with their kids.
Yeah, but
because they don't like what they see going on in California.
Right. But I'm not. But this data is in California.
Well, I understand.
I'm just telling you, this California is U.S. data,
right? But I'm talking about the declining enrollment in California schools
and Galt schools. Yeah, right, exactly. So the milestone, the last thing I want to show you, the milestone is 2030. That's 4 years from now. Mm-hmm. They say in 2030, nearly half of American women up to the age of 44 will not have a child. Half of the American women. So where is the replan? And then the other thing is by 2030, that's when they say that you will now have, there'll be more people dying in the United States than are being born in the United States in 2030. So we are going to see that in 4 short years. In 4 short years, we have turned a curve in the United States. Now there's some world statistics that show the same thing that's going to happen, and these are the things that when people say, well, how could you build a bunch of houses in Galt, taking it back into Galt, and not see those increase in numbers? Like I'm showing those population numbers up on the screen right now. You can see they've been stagnant over all these years of population, even though we have more households in Galt. There's more houses, there's more structures in the city of Galt right now than ever in history than there was in 2018 when it was 26,000 people. How can we lose 1,000 people when we have more houses? Because people are empty nesters moving from the Bay Area, for example, or they are just a couple with no kids, a young millennial couple, for example, right? It's not the dynamic of the family. Like you just said, the dynamic of the American family is just different. And it's not going to go back the other way. It's just not. So what about Gen Zers?
But you also have to look at, if you look at the history of the country and look at the history of things, it's just like, pre-World War II, the majority of the population in the United States lived rural. Post-World War II, that started to change. My mom was one of 7 kids, right? They grew up on a farm.
My mom was one of 6 kids. Yeah.
Right. But a lot of farming families had large families because it wasn't necessarily, hey, we want a bunch of kids. Part of it was, hey, we want some help when they get a little bit older. Right.
Right.
So some of that. And so I think that's changed. I was one of 3 kids.
Okay? I was one of 2.
Like, even if you look at our generation, I didn't know a lot of friends that came from large
there's
families.
Still families that have 5 and 6 kids, but it's just very uncommon.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't know as many kids my generation that had a lot of siblings, but I knew a lot of people my mom and dad's generations that had a lot of siblings. So I think there was a change there.
Yeah.
So I think every generation has changed in that reduction. We were less than them, right? this generation's less than this one.
Does it sound like a sci-fi movie if you think about, when you see a movie and it's like in the year 2050 and
Can we take that back down now?
Yeah. Can we take that down, please? There is a movie out there. I forget what it's called, where it's like a big deal for children, like their children to be born. Like it's something with
Can we see the screen?
Yeah. So,
there you go.
And so I feel like it's almost like a sci-fi movie where you get to a point where it's like having a child is a big deal. They're going to be like, oh, you're a woman that's of prime fertility and you're prime and you don't have anything wrong with you. And you have whatever, like you're like, it's like you're like a unicorn, right? And you're going to be very favorite. I do believe, honestly, I think in the future, probably not in our lifetime and maybe not in our kids' lifetime, but I think far in the future, you will get to a society in our world, possibly, where if you are a childbearing age person, a woman of childbearing age, I mean, Michelle, maybe with all the stuff they do now, maybe they don't even need children now. They've done embryos with all this stuff, crazy stuff. But right. I just think it's going to be a big deal to have kids.
But I think you also have to look at what
Gattaca. Yeah, I think that's the name of the movie.
But you also have to look at this too. At what generation did it become? At what point did we need 2 full-time incomes to survive? At what point did we need 2 full-time incomes
post-war
to pay for the mortgage and the food and the bills?
1970s probably.
But that's when it maybe started. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even as a kid, when I was a kid, my mom was a stay-home mom most of the time, right? So I again.
Yeah, but I think that's an exception. I think most households.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
No, I do.
No, I don't think so at all. I think our generation is when it started to change.
I think it was before that.
No, I disagree.
All right, let's look it up and we'll see who's right. Want to take a bet on it?
No, I think that's when it started to change. I'm not saying that's when it.
What I'm saying. Let me tell you what I'm saying.
Because I know a lot of friends, family members that mom stayed home. They didn't need to.
I didn't have any friends that had moms that stayed home. No,
I did.
Nope, they're all working moms.
I had several.
Well, but you lived in a rural area where
I lived in Galt.
Yeah, it was a rural area.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, a lot of my friends were from Lodi and other community. I think it depends on where you're at. I think if you come from a farming family, then you could say, oh yeah, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. But I think if you looked at the average family probably had 2 parents that were 2-income families. I think in 1980s. I mean, not in 74 when you were born. I'm talking about the 80s when you were like in your childhood.
Maybe the late 80s, I'd go to that. Yeah. But I'm not. But I don't disagree. I said that's when it started to change.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that our generation, you have to have 2 full-time incomes.
Yeah.
There's very few. It's a rarity for one of the spouses or one of the heads of the household.
I think people just financially bury themselves.
But I think that this next generation, I think they're going to need 4 incomes to survive.
Yeah. So anyways, tying this all back into our conversation, anybody, again, I want to stress this out. Exactly. Right. 80s, yes. Back in 60s and 70s, mild child, yeah. So going back, I mean, anybody who it says we're going to become the next Elk Grove is literally there is not one data point that anybody could come up with that would say that that's even fact. What's funny is, and I asked somebody today, I said, can you hear me okay with the mic?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I feel like I can't hear myself.
And there's one more thing I want to touch on too about that.
Somebody said, well, why don't people say, oh my God, we're going to become Lodi soon? It's more likely. It's still unlikely because Lodi is 70 or 80,000, and we already said how long it's going to take for Galt to be 50.
I think Lodi was 50,000 when I was a kid. I mean, Lodi's always been.
So, but why do people not use Lodi as a comparison? And the reason they said is that because they want to exaggerate it and make it sound like, oh, we're going to become Elk Grove. They want to take the biggest exception.
Right. Big bad scary Elk Grove with their nice wide roads that go across down and
So what were you going to say?
But I want to say too, I want to touch on the one thing that we've talked about before. People always say, oh, they're turning all this farmland into, they're ruining all this farmland, turning it into homes, and we're building on all this farmland. And trust me, if we didn't have to build any farmland, I'd be okay with that too. Okay. But here's the other part. And we've talked about this. Farmers would love to sell their property to other farmers. Right.
But nobody's buying that.
Yeah. Most of the farmers I know aren't even farming anymore. I know more farmers that have retired from farming and their families aren't farming.
There's a lot of farm property land that was dairies and other things in Galt that's now houses. And you know what? And I know those families, and they say, well, You know, when the grandson or the son grows up, he doesn't want to be a dairy farmer.
Mhm.
He doesn't want to carry on the dairy farm, and nobody's buying there's not other dairies buying small dairies.
Right.
They're not interested in that. So when you come to a family and the family says, well, if we're not going to be dairy farmers anymore, what are we going to do with our property? Well, we got this developer
And they're
that
right
wants,
on the edge of town.
and there's a developer that wants to come along and give them multiple millions of dollars for their property. Do you think it's the role of government? Do you think it's the role of someone like me as a city council member that says to someone like you, because your family's had farmland and you still have some farmland, right? No, you guys need to, that land needs to be preserved. And you would say, well, we're not farming that land anymore. Well, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. You have to leave it, and you got to keep paying taxes on it and stuff, and you can't sell it.
Yeah.
You think that's what we should do?
Right.
Because what we're getting at is you're having that, what I'm going to call them NIMBYs now. You have NIMBYs that will come in and say, I value my beautiful, I like my view out my back door over here in my house at Liberty Ranch where I can look out into farmland on Cherokee Road. So that guy over there that owns that property in Cherokee Road, you can never let him sell that property because I don't want to lose my view. Is that what we're going to do? Is that what we're going to do? Is tell that person he can't do?
People that think that that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
People think that's what we're supposed to do. And that's just not the way the world works.
So, well, it's been a good discussion. So with the Maverick project, the next step is, so just to throw that out there, there is a chance that if someone doesn't like the project, doesn't like the approval of the project, they can appeal the project. What does it appeal to?
Well, it'll go to the city council. They'll have to pay to appeal.
They have to pay to put an appeal in, a few thousands of dollars. Yeah. Appeal.
And if the city council upholds it, then they could file a lawsuit. There's potential that they can file a lawsuit if they believe that there are things that weren't done properly. But part of the city staff's job and the city attorney's
file
job
a suit for anything if they want to.
But part of the city staff and the city attorney's jobs are to make sure that the things are done properly. So on one hand, you have, a belief that the city attorney and staff and all those people have done their things. Yeah. It's our job to review it,
So circling back to one question that I think we didn't touch on to ask, you were talking about how you supported the project because there were several reasons, but you also, one of them was that you said you supported it because the tax revenue, and the tax revenue, you talked about Measure R, Measure Q, and what that money does. So the current sales tax, I looked this up before we came into sales, the current sales tax.
And I don't approve a project just because of the
No, that was one of the things, but I want to touch on something. I want to touch on that piece of it. Okay. The current sales tax revenue for the city of Galt is about $3.4 million.
Right.
You guys were told that the projected income from sales tax from the plaza at full build out was about $2 million. That's what staff said. That's the data that I was given.
Yeah. I don't remember if that was exactly mentioned during the meeting.
Well, that's what was told.
I don't know if that was what was told in the meeting or not.
So you're talking about 3.4 total,
but
you're talking about 2.
Yeah, but the city's leaking. The estimate is the city's leaking
about $1.5 million.
About $1.5 million tax revenue to Elk Grove, Lodi, other places, and that's what we have the potential of capturing or bringing back into the city.
Somebody spoke from the chamber, and they made a point, and they went up there and said, there's some talk about, well, it's this project, if you bring in an In-N-Out Burger or a I'm just going to make some stuff up like a TJ Maxx or friggin' Old Navy or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? That you're going to hurt existing businesses. Well, there's potential that you're going to have some things that Galt doesn't have already, like some other clothing options would be great, for example, and stuff like that. But there's a fear that you're going to hurt the small businesses. You're going to hurt the burger plate. Like an In-N-Out Burger is going to really hurt, Stevie Boys or Velvet Grill or whatever these places. But it's probably more likely that an In-N-Out Burger is going to hurt McDonald's or Carl's Jr. or things like that are other corporations before it's going to hurt, because some people gravitate towards niche boutique places. They want to go to the small mom and pop places. But the point that the chamber person, Kat Siebel from the Chamber of Commerce, made was that if you keep people in a community, so if you keep people in a community shopping, instead of so if you have to take little Johnny to TJ Maxx in Elk Grove to get a new shirt for school, right? And then you go, let's get some dinner. Where are they going to get dinner at? They're going to get dinner at In-N-Out Burger or somewhere in Elk Grove, right? So now you have not only the shirt as a sales tax leakage, but you have other money being spent. If you keep people in Galt, they're more than likely to say, you know what? Now they could say, I'm going to buy my shirt at TJ Maxx, and then we're going to go to In-N-Out Burger. But you know what they could also do too? There's a likelihood that they could say, I'm going to go over to TJ Maxx or Old Navy and I'm going to buy a shirt. And then guess what? We're going to go down to Velvet Grill and we're going to sit down and we're going to eat dinner.
Right. And the other idea of this entire complex that we're looking at is we're looking at there's going to be possibly retail space available for a mom and pop shop that might want to open a business there.
Right.
And there's no other retail available in town at the time.
Right.
There's not a lot of retail space currently available in Galt.
Yeah.
That's not already occupied.
Yeah.
So again, this may give some potential for another mom and pop shop that might open up, and who knows what it is, but it might be the greatest shop in Galt by the time they open. Right. And so maybe people are going to go there. But again, yeah, it's
so let me give you,
and we don't, and I don't make a decision to open, to support this because, I want to punish any other business in town.
No, not at all.
The idea is to grow and to benefit other.
But I think it's a common misconception and a myth,
right,
that just because you add another business that you're going to somehow hurt directly another business.
Right.
Yes, to some extent, but at the same time, you're keeping money in the community, and you'd be surprised how much it benefits. Let me give you. I'm gonna bust that myth up in about a million pieces right here by saying this. When my wife and I opened our coffee shop, there was no Starbucks in Galt, and there was no Dutch Brothers. There was only other mom and pops. There was coffee shop. Well, Life's a Grind was sort of a franchise, but you had Cafe Latte. Okay. Now we have 2 Starbucks and a Dutch Brothers. Our sales numbers at our coffee shop are higher than they were back before Starbucks was even here. And we have 2 Starbucks now.
Well, and the other coffee shops are still open too. So
exactly. And Cafe Latte, as far as I know, they do really well. Derek's been in business for 30 years, I think now. And so these other businesses, it's a myth that you think that just because you bring in a Walmart or you bring in a Target or an In-N-Out Burger or whatever, that you are going to just put people out of business. And that's not the case. Because you know what? When Walmart moved in, and I'm actually want you to think about this hard because I want to see if you can come up with a name. I want you to tell me when Walmart came in 2008, I want you to come up. I'm going to give you about a minute. Think of a business right now that was the death nail for that. When Walmart came in, that business went out completely down and just said, we're closing our doors. Who? Name one. I can't think of one either.
I don't know any.
I can't think. Well, maybe CVS or Payless or whatever it was. But again, these are other corporations.
Yeah, but
give me
those corporations. Those corporations had corporation problems.
Yeah,
like Rite Aid didn't just shut down the Rite Aid in Galt
because
they
of
shut
Walmart.
down Rite Aids.
It wasn't
everywhere.
Because of Walmart. It wasn't because of Walmart.
I mean,
exactly.
They have other problems.
Yeah,
our little story isn't.
But now, what I'm saying is, name a mom and pop business. Name a mom and pop business that you believe completely went out of business because Walmart moved in.
Right.
Skydive Rick says because you love dogs. We do love dogs. He says that's why our coffee shop does so well.
Right.
We love dogs. Yeah. But that's funny. Thanks for that comment.
No, but I think here's the thing too, Sean. I think that, and we've talked about this, is a lot of people hear rumors or they hear things, no matter what it's about, and that's what they believe because they saw it on the internet or they heard it from somebody, but they don't know the truth about a lot of things, or they don't know the details about things, and it's not that you and I are privy to any more information. I told people before this whole Mavericks thing, I'm not making any decision on it, or I don't have an opinion on it until I saw the packet.
Right.
And I got the packet a week before the meeting when it was publicly made and put out for anybody to look at. And I went through that packet and I made my decision based on what I saw in the packet.
Yeah.
And so, but people have to understand, anybody in town, if you do a little bit of research, look at the city council agendas. When there's issues coming up before the city council, look at the school board agendas. All these things are put out publicly a week before the meetings. Go online, educate yourself about the situation. Talk to city council members, talk to school board members, talk to people.
Yeah, don't just go on Facebook.
Don't just believe what you see or read or an opinion that somebody has on Facebook.
Well, you know what they say about opinions.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say that out loud,
right.
but
right. But I know that I have people who have come after me and come after you because of some of this growth and some of these things. And that's their opinion. But these people that have those opinions haven't even taken the time to come and have a conversation with me about.
You know what? I'm gonna say one last statement because we got to wrap up here. I think when my tenure in city council is over with and I'm walking down the street and somebody looks at me, I would rather have somebody say, there's that guy that brought more tax revenue in Galt and did this and that and supported a project to build something where, an apartment complex where, our kids could live. And he, he supported, a project that brought more tax dollars in so we could have better parks, all that. I would rather be known for that and then say in that same sentence, but you ruined our small town, because I don't believe that that's true, that I ruined the town by doing that. But I would rather have that than somebody look and go, there's that guy that said no to everything. Now, my kids don't have a place to live. The prices of houses in Galt are so expensive because they haven't built a new house in 10 years. And so the prices are astronomical because everybody wants to live here and there's no inventory. And we don't have any places to shop. Our parks suck. Our police department sucks. We have crime because we don't have cops. That would be the alternative. And you know what? I'm okay with the first one.
And I'm going to say one more thing before we do wrap up. To the city staff that have been working on this project for the last several years, thank you for your work, because they also live here, most of them. And when they also look at a project and go, is this going to work in our town? They understand what Galt needs. It's just like, yeah, we'd love to have a bowling alley, movie theater, something like that, right? And they go to those meetings and they try to recruit people to come in and build those things, right? They do that. They try.
Yeah.
But the government's not in the job of building those things, and neither is planning.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, we're going to wrap up here. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors before we go. You can see all our sponsors' names, our wonderful sponsors. If you see a name up here you recognize in town, I want you to support them in the Fandango Club. Yeah, shout out to the Fandango Club. So I want to thank the Galt Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Chandler Gross Group, Frontier Lubricants, River Rock Brewery, Parker Realty, Casey Boyd Insurance. If you need insurance, Casey Boyd, she's right here at 417 C Street. NorCal Spreading, Azevedo Quality Harvesting, Mr. Sean Farrell, Spawn's Cookie Company. If you want cookies, you want pies, the best pies in town, check out Spawn's Cookie Company. Ward Engineering, if you need a remodel or you need some engineering, you need some blueprints drawn up, hit up Ward Engineering LLC. They're great. Best Western, if you need a hotel. Next Generation Barbershop, if you need a haircut. King Sound Productions, American Paving, Laheim of Galt, Mariscos Las Islitas, a great Mexican food restaurant. Go check them out. They have fabulous food, fabulous seafood as well. Electric Hair Studio. And last but not least, I want to mention a new sponsor that we have. It's very important that we mention the new sponsors. We have Dry Creek Family Dental. I want to thank they call him Dr. Dave. So it's Dr. Dave. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Shercliffe, I think it is. But they call him Dr. Dave, though. He is a great dentist. If you're looking for a dentist, he is up there by Horizon Church. He bought out Dr. Hilder's office. Mm-hmm. My family's been using him. And Dry Creek Family Dental, they are at 425 Pine Street. So
right across from McDonald's.
Right across from McDonald's. So go check out Dr. Dave. He's a phenomenal dentist, and he's a super cool guy. He is a cool dude. So go check him out.
Next week, I want to read the sponsors. I want to use my sexy voice to read the sponsors.
Your sexy voice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sexy voice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to remind everybody, next week, just a little sneak peek. Next week, we have our Sacramento County our Sacramento County Supervisor, Pat Hume. He is our representative for the entire county. He will be here on our show next week to talk about things that have to do with our county and that affect Galt. It's a big guest. It's a huge guest. So he's going to grace us with his presence. The week after that, we have another phenomenal guest, Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho. He is the district attorney for all of Sacramento County. We're going to be talking about the justice system. We're going to talk about crime. We're going to talk about, things that are affecting Galt, that are affecting our police department. There's going to be some great topics coming out of that.
I'm looking forward to these because there's Prop 36 and all these other
these things. Yeah. So next 2 weeks are going to be great shows. Tune in 7:00 every week. Want to thank my awesome daughter, Kaylin Farmer, sitting off screen right now for her work. She worked all day hard today, and then she came and ran the podcast tonight.
Without her, none of this would be possible.
That's right. So we thank her for her work. She's in the engine room running the ship. So we appreciate it. For all our viewers, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you staying with us a little long tonight. We look forward to seeing you guys next week, 7:00, same place, same station. Everybody have a good night and have a good weekend.
Two guys on the mic, Sean and Ben, talking small town life where it all began. Galt's got charming stories to spare, from the city news to the country air. The great American little town, where the news is small but the pride's profound. Grab a coffee, sit back, it's all going down on the town. Sports scores, local clubs, and a parade. Dan cracks a joke, Sean throws some shade. Local gossip and a heartfelt cheer. It's Galt's heartbeat right here. The great American little town, where the news is small, but the pride's profound. Grab a drink, sit back, it's all going down on the great American little town. Sean and Dan with the hometown spin. Tune in weekly and you're all in the great American little town.